All right, and welcome back to another week. Today we're going to start chapter 3, and we'll get about halfway through with this before fall break, and then we'll finish it up after fall break. But go ahead and start off. Chapter 3 has 3 vocabulary words we want to talk about. Also, just a reminder, if you haven't done the chapter 2 test from Friday, please get that taken care of, okay? I'm working on getting that graded and put in the grade book. I don't want you to have a 0, but you got to submit it, or else that's what's going to happen. So, with our words, these 3 words, I'm guessing all of you have heard the first one. Almost all of you have heard the second one, and probably not very many of you have heard the third one. So, parallel lines, this is when we have 2 lines in the same plane that do not intersect. Our symbol for parallel lines is just that. It looks kind of like an 11 or 2 lines running beside each other. Okay. The next one, perpendicular. This is when 2 lines intersect, forming right angles, and the symbol for this looks kind of like an upside down T. Here, let me draw that again. That's not my best. So, like that. You can see there's 2 right angles here formed. There's 1 on each side. This cursor that I'm moving around is an example of perpendicular. 4 right angles are formed there. Okay, sometimes it might involve 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes it might just be like this, 1, 2. Those are both perpendicular. Okay. The final one, skew. This is when we have 2 lines on different planes. Okay. Now let me make this bigger so I can show you guys kind of my example here. So with my pens, if I run them beside each other here, they are parallel. They run right beside each other. Okay. Now perpendicular, they'd have to cross. They touch. Okay, and they form these right angles. Okay, and skew would be if I scoot that one back. Do you see how now they are not touching? Okay, they're skewed. They aren't parallel because this one runs this way, this one runs up and down. Okay, it runs that way, that one runs up and down. But do you see how they are skew? Okay, if they aren't touching, they also aren't parallel, and that is known as skew. All right, so I'll give you guys a minute to get those down. Go ahead if you need more time, pause the video, but then I'm going to go ahead and continue. So down here, we have a shape, this 3-dimensional shape, and we are trying to find something that is parallel to PQ and contains S. So first off, if it's parallel to PQ, let's notice P is right here, Q is right there. So PQ, and it's got to be parallel to that, meaning it runs beside it. It also has to contain, I'll highlight this in red here, this point S. Now the only way we can do that is segment ST. Has to run right along there, that back line. Now if we want it to be perpendicular to PQ and contain S, still needs to contain S, it has to come right here and form that, do you see that 90-degree angle right there? So that's going to be SP. And then finally, if we want it to be skewed to PQ and contain S, we know it's going to start at S once again. That's right there. That one would never intersect. It's also not parallel. So that's segment SU. Okay, now your final one. It says name a plane parallel to plane PQR. So let me erase all this. Let's first identify PQR. So PQR, that's this front plane. And if we want to be parallel to that, it's going to line up with it. And that plane that's parallel is on the back side there, the triangle there. We can name this anyway. As long as you name 3 points on the plane, it works. So maybe I'll say STU. Maybe you say UTS, SUT. There's lots of ways to name it, okay? And they all would be correct. Okay, now your next one here. This one, we are trying to find a line or a segment that's parallel to AG and contains C. So I'll start by highlighting AG. Also notice L, do you see where it's pointing? L is that back dot right there. So AG, it's got to be parallel to that. And we know it has to contain this point C over here. So it has to run from front to back. So it needs to run right down this in order to be parallel. So our answer, CI. All right. Now, there are other lines that are parallel, but that's the only one that contains point C. So now, this next one says perpendicular to AG and contains point B. So we need it to be perpendicular to AG and contain this point here, B. So if I go over there, see that 90-degree angle is formed? That is going to be the line AB, or segment AB. Sorry, I misspoke. Okay, so now, this next thing, I'm going to erase those two. I'll keep the blue line because AG is involved. Skew to AG and contains C. So it has to go through this point C, and it's skew. Now there's actually two correct answers on this, okay? It can either go right here, because if those extend, that's not going to cross. I don't know if you guys can see, but this is like AG, and then, sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, AG, and then skew would come along here and go that way. That's what CD does. Or it could also go the other way and be BC. That would extend and it goes over the top. They would not intersect. Okay, the final one now says name a plane parallel to plane AFLG. So in blue here, I'll highlight A, F, L's back there, and G. So that's on the side. Now, lots of you, I'm guessing, are going to tell me you think this one works. But those two would look like this. They would not be actually beside each other. They'd be slanted in. They'd intersect at the top. It has to be directly on the other side, down here in the bottom, directly across our hexagon here. And so that one is going to be CDJI. And you could have told me that in a different order and still had it right, but that red one is CDJI. Okay. So go ahead now, and we're going to do, I know I said there were 3 vocabulary words on the front. There's a few other vocabulary words, but these we don't need to write anything down. We just need to practice identifying them. So corresponding angles. For this, think corresponding. For each shoe I have, there's a corresponding shoe, right? If I have a right shoe, then I have a left shoe, and the shoes match. They correspond, they match up together. So in the same way here, up in the top left, if I look from this intersection here, L and M are parallel, cut by this transversal line N. Transversal just means it cuts through. And I go, I'll show you with my mouse, up to the left, that's line angle 1. I also, from this intersection, would go up to the left, angle 5. So angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. Okay, now likewise, if I go up to the right, and then from here up to the right, that'd be angle 2 and angle 6. So now down to the left, and then from here down to the left, so 3 and 7. Then your final one, down to the right, and down to the right, 4 and 8. All right, our next one here, alternate exterior angles. Now for this, alternate, think alternate means they're on alternate sides of this transversal, so one's over there and one's on this side. Exterior, they're going to be on the outside. Okay, now what I mean by the outside, exterior, think sounds like the exterior of your car, which is on the outside of it. The exterior sounds like the exit, so outside, think that. 1, 2, 7, and 8 are exterior because they're on the outside, where 4, 6, 5, and 3 are in the inside, the interior. Think of it, if these two parallel lines would suddenly smack together, if this would come and crash into those two lines, which ones would get squashed and which ones would not? The ones that would get squashed, those are the interior angles. The ones that would not are the exterior. Okay, so now, when we're doing alternate exterior, it has to be, now 1 and 2, those would be an example of a linear pair. That's not alternate exterior. But angle 1 and angle 8, those are alternate exterior. Okay? And likewise, angle 2 and angle 7. Now, alternate interior, same idea, except now it's on the inside. Once again, we can't go for the linear pair. So 3 and 4 doesn't work, but 3 would pair with 6. So angle 3 and angle 6. And then also I could say angle 4 and angle 5. Okay, and then the final one, consecutive interior angles. And I want you to know consecutive, another word for that is same side. So consecutive, think of it as one after the other. Same side is another way to think of this. Also, consecutive is not based on these numbers, like 1, 2. I know those are consecutive numbers. They're not consecutive interior angles, though. These numbers are simply just labels. They mean nothing in terms of where it's at. I could have mixed it up and it would still be the same kind of problem. We're trying to find consecutive interior angles, meaning they're on the same side. So right here, 3 and 5. And then likewise, over on the other side here, 4 and 6. All right, so now the final thing, and it's up to you. You don't have to draw this if you don't want, just follow along. But we're trying to identify these angle pairs. So angle 1 and 5. Let's start over here, 1 and 5. And for this one, I don't care about any of this stuff. That's extra. All I care about is these two lines cut by the transversal there. So 1 and 5. They are both compared to the intersection. Well, first you can check, are they both on the inside? Which if these two lines crash together, 5's on the inside, but 1's on the outside. So it can't be any of the interior or exterior. Instead, it's going to be corresponding. You see that's up to the left, up to the left. So this first blank would be corresponding. All right, so now the next one. I am doing angle 3 and angle 16. So 3 is here, 16 here. Once again, I don't care about any of this for this one. Only these two lines that are cut by this transversal. So 3 and 6, if they got 16, if they got smashed together, they'd both be on the outside. So they are exterior, and you see how 1's on this side of the line, the 16, 1 is on this side. So they are alternate exterior. I'm going to abbreviate that ALT for alternate, and then EXT for exterior. Okay, so the next one, 4 and 15. And for this, same part is still covered. I don't care about that extra stuff. 4 and 15. These are both on the interior. These would be alternate interior angles. So ALT, INT. Next, we're keeping angle 4 and switching this to 14. There are two answers that would work here. You can either call it consecutive interior or same side interior. We need to know both of those. Okay, so same side interior or consecutive interior. And now your final one, angle 4 and angle 8. So angle 4 here, angle 8 there. I don't care about any of this stuff. And hopefully you can see those are also interior and they're on the same side. So once again, either same side interior or, if you prefer, consecutive interior. So kind of a lot to take in. Tomorrow we'll continue to practice this. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you later.